Hi everyone, hope you're well. I'm just going to do a quick video about the preload settings on the Transalp XL750. It's actually my wife's bike. We prefer slightly different settings, but I just thought I'd let you know. Kind of average weight rider, maybe below average weight. Um, I weigh 12 and a half stone with my gear on. Yeah, I know. Think of me as like a 47-year-old head on a 13-year-old's body. Um, don't like gyms. Um, so what I find best is my wife prefers the preload on number 3 on the rear, and the front I've done 4.5 rotations up on the front. Personally, I prefer setting 4 on the rear, but that's just different riding styles. The rear preload only has 7 settings. It comes out the showroom on setting 2, and that's good for a 7-year-old with an eating disorder. I don't know. It's woeful. So really, out the box, you want to be on setting 3 minimum, which only leaves you 4 settings to play with. With preload, you're supposed to have 30% sag when you're sat on the bike, meaning you lose 30% of your suspension travel. There's no point trying that on the rear of this because, like I say, you've only really got 4 settings to play with. So it's more about just playing about with the feel of it. If you're not sure how to adjust the rear preload, I do have a previous video of how to do that. It's just a really quick rough guide. So if you watch that, that sorts out the rear basically. So the front, if you don't know how to adjust it, what you need to do is get a 19mm socket and just put some tape around it. Now on the top of the forks you have these nuts here, or bolt heads, and then you see there's another one underneath. Well, the 19 only goes on that. So what you want to do is put it on, like pick one of the little corners of that bolt head, put your socket on, and then put a little line on it. I personally would pick that one. So you put a line on it. So now when you turn the socket, you know when you've done a full rotation. You don't have to do full rotations. You can do quarters, halves, whatever you want, but they just have to be even on both sides. If you get lost in how many rotations you've done, if someone distracts you or if the socket slips off, don't panic. All you do is turn it anti-clockwise, because to make it harder, you turn it clockwise. So if you lose where you are, turn it anti-clockwise until it stops. Once it stops turning, you then turn it 7 rotations clockwise and you're back to your standard settings. There are 15 rotations available on this, and it comes out standard as number 7. So I've gone up 4.5 rotations on the front. When you're doing it, or if you use the tool, there is a tool in your toolkit that you can do it with, if it's like a ring spanner. So if you do that, you can just get a little board marker and just put a little mark on whichever one you want, and then you can follow that around. And again, you know, it sits in between these. I would recommend using an extension bar to bring the socket right up above the handlebars so that you're not hitting the tank or any of the fairing, and protect it just in case the socket slips off or you drop something. Put a couple of rags over it, a couple of towels or something, to just to protect the bike so you don't hit it and scratch it. Also another thing, because I've got to be honest, when my wife and I both test rode the bike, I really wasn't impressed with it. I thought it was, to be honest, I thought it was awful. The handling and the feel of it. Um, Changing the standard tyres made a huge difference. We did that on the first service. I can't even remember what they are, but they just felt awful. So we went for Continental TKC 70 rocks on the rear and Continental TKC 70s on the front, which is what I run on my Africa Twin. Personally, I absolutely love them. They don't cause any vibration. They got really good grip on the road, wet or dry. Off-road, good for light gravel or dry compact mud. Anything wet, no, they're not designed for that. So that'd be my recommendation, as just a nice setup. So if you're around 12 and a half stone with your kit, I, depending on your riding style, setting 3 to 4 on the rear and up 4.5 on the front. If you're a little bit heavier, if you're a little bit lighter, just play around with it. If you want to do the front exact how it should be, then look up how much suspension travel the front has, deduct 30%, and that is how much you want it. That's how much you want to lose when you're sat on the bike. So, I mean, you could have it on the side stand, get someone to press the back down so the front lifts up, and then you have a full measurement. You can take a measurement from 2 points. Let me show you. So you could take a measurement from this sort of ring marking that's there in the fork down to the very bottom, and then deduct the 30% of whatever it is from that being fully extended to when you're sat on the bike. You'll need someone to measure it. There's plenty of videos around showing you how to set preload in terms of the sag and the adjustments and the calculations and everything, so just look those up if you want to do it exact. But this was just a rough guide for someone of kind of my weight. So I hope that helps. Take care. Bye.